morning, dear students. How are you all? I hope everybody of you are fine, staying home, staying safe. So, our third lesson, animals and their food. We already completed two parts for this lesson and we have learned many things based on the type of food, the body organs of the animals depends, and based on the body organs of the animals, the type of the food they eat. And also by tracing and by taking is different. Tracing means by using senses they will trace the food, and by taking means by using its body parts it will take the food. We also have fill up the many tables, and we also have learned about animal types based on their food: herbivores, carnivores, omnivores. Herbivores are the animals which take only plant materials, and carnivores are the animals which depends upon herbivores or other animals to take the to feed themselves. And omnivores are the type of animals which take both plants and animals, or they feed on both plants and also on the living organisms. I also told you to write the examples for all these things. And we also studied about bird beaks. Bird beaks. Woodpecker is having a long beak too, and sharp beak too. Bark, to take off the bark of the trees, and it will find out the ants and small insects on the barks of the plants, and also it will dwell into that bark to make its own house. And also you also learn about hummingbird, which is having long and straw-like teeth, straw-like beak, so that it can suck nectar from the flowers. And also about eagle, vulture, etc. And crows and vultures are called to be as natural scavengers. Scavengers are the people who clean the environment. So natural, they clean the nature, so they are called as natural scavengers. These all are the points you have learnt about in the previous classes. In this class you are going to learn about food chain. What is that, children? Food chain. What is food chain? Food chain, energy flow, and food web. These are the three topics you are going to learn in this class. So first, coming to food chain. What is meant by chain? It is a continuous process. Chain means it is a continuous process. So what about food chain? So food, how they are continuously moving. So learning about food chain, here you have to tell about two types of animals. In food chain, there are two types of living beings. Two types of living beings. One is producers. One is producers. Second one is consumers. Second one is consumers. One is producers. Second one is consumers. So, in food chain, the living organisms are classified into two types. One is producers, second one is consumers. So, what about these producers? Why they are called to be as producers? Producers make their own food. They prepare their own food. Producers, the name itself, they produce food. They produce food. What will be the example for producers, children? See, what the living organism is producing its own food. Are we producing our own food, children? No. So then which living organism is producing its own food? They are nothing but plants. They are nothing but plants. Plants prepare their own food. Plants prepare their own food by using the process of photosynthesis. By taking sunlight, water and soil nutrients, they prepare their own food. Hence, the plants are called to be as producers. We already know the plants are the living organisms. In food chain, living organisms are classified into two types. One is producers, second one is consumers. And the producers are nothing but plants. Plants prepare their own food and they are called to be as producers. Then what about consumers? The remaining living organisms, whatever, animals, the remaining living organisms are nothing but consumers. So, how this food chain will flows? How this food chain will flows? First, the producers in this food chain, the producers, and depending on producers, animals. So they depend upon producers. Animals depend upon producers. This is the basic process of food chain. This is the basic process of food chain. So by enhancing this food chain, you can simply draw another food chain. That is, if you learned about some animals in our surroundings, we can simply say, see, rabbit. Rabbit eats grass. Grass is nothing but plant. Plant is a producer. So rabbit is consuming here, and rabbit is eaten by lion. Okay. So this animal is feeding on this and this animal is feeding on this. So you try to write some more food chains like this. Some more food chains like this. For example, in our houses, mouse eats some grass. Next, this is eaten by cat. Cat is eaten by dog. Dog is eaten by lion. Similar way. So, one animal depending upon other animal, other depending upon other, other depending upon other, and finally they all are depending upon producers. They were interrelated to producers. So lion doesn't eat grass, but lion depends upon the animals which feed on the primary producers. So this grass is the producer and this is primary consumer, and these are called to be as secondary consumers. Secondary consumers. So the herbivores are nothing but primary producers, and the carnivores are nothing but secondary consumers. So grass is nothing but producer. So all the living organisms depend upon the producers. Producers are also living organisms which prepare their own food. In our textbook, page number 28. Page number 28. See children, here is a food chain given. Page number 28. A food chain is given. A plant is there, a deer is there, a tiger is there. So deer depends upon plant. Plant produce food through sunlight. And tiger depends upon deer. So tiger directly do not depend upon grass or plant, but it depends upon the animal which is feeding on the producers. So producers are the main things in food chain. Every food chain start with producer. So what about this energy flow? Our second topic is energy flow. So after learning about food chain, I told you this energy flow. What is energy, children? So all of us will have energy, right? To do work, energy to run, energy to drink, whatever it is. We need energy to do work. In the same way, here the energy flow in a food chain. See children, here I'll show you in the textbook, just in page number 28. See children, here is the energy flow: producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. So these will not be like this. This producer, primary consumer may be a grasshopper or maybe a mushroom. Mushroom means a bacteria or fungi which depends upon the dead and decaying matter. And this crow is called as tertiary consumer, which depends upon this secondary consumer, which depends upon this secondary consumer. The energy is flowing not in only a single line. సో ఇక్కడ చూడండి, ఒక సింగిల్ లైన్లో ఏమి ఫ్లో అవ్వట్లేదు. అంటే ప్లాంట్ని గ్రాస్ హోపరే తినాలని లేదు, ప్లాంట్ని ఇంకేదైనా తినొచ్చు. సో అక్కడి నుంచి ఆ ఫ్రాగ్ని వేరే ఇంకేదైనా తీసుకోవచ్చు. సో డెఫినెట్లీ ఫ్రాగ్ ఈజ్ డైరెక్ట్లీ నాట్ ఈటన్ బై ఓన్లీ క్రో. ఇట్ కెన్ బి ఈటన్ బై స్నేక్ ఆల్సో. It can be eaten by snake also. In the same way, this energy flow will be always different. The energy flow will be always different. Check out, children, in page number 29 we have what is the source of energy in a food chain. What is the source, children? That is nothing but producers. How does the grasshopper get its energy? By feeding on producers. What happens to the crow if the frog was removed in this food chain? See, children, the food chain I have already shown you. If the frog is removed, the crow is feeding on this frog, and this frog is removed from this food chain. What will happen? See, this fungi or bacteria or mushroom which is there here, it breaks down the complex materials into the decaying matter, and this crows also will feed on that decaying matter. If frog is missing also, this crow will get the energy from this fungi and bacteria. Bacteria and fungi such as mushrooms get energy by breakdown of dead plants and animals. They are called to be as decomposers. They break complex substances into simple substances that goes into the soil and used by the plants. Thus help in cycling of materials between producers, consumers and the soil. So they are called to be as recyclers. They are called to be as recyclers. I already told you, crow and vultures. Crow and vultures. What are they called to be as, children? Natural scavengers. And this bacteria and fungi, they are called to be as recyclers. What are they called to be as, children? Recyclers. Crow and vultures are called to be as natural scavengers. Bacteria and fungi are called to be as recyclers. What are they called to be as? Recyclers. So this is about the energy flow. And what about this food web? Food chain. How we have drawn food chain, children? In a straight line form, right? In a straight line. So all the food chains need not be in a straight line. They will not be always exist in a straight line. This food web is different. The combination of different food chains comes into the same form and same cycle, and this is termed to be as food web. It is termed to be as food web. It is termed to be as food web. See, food chains cannot always be represented by a straight line. They can be branched with several food chains connected to each other to form a web. This system of interconnected food chains is called as food web. So the interconnected food chains is called as food web. The interconnected food chains is called to be as food web. See, in the picture, page number 29, you have different food chains here. See, one green plant. Green plant may be eaten by goat. Goat may be eaten by jackal. Jackal may be eaten by lion. The same green plant may be eaten by mouse. The mouse may be eaten by owl. Owl may be eaten by snake. Snake may be eaten by vulture. And the green plant may be eaten by rabbit. The rabbit may be eaten by wildcat. Wildcat may be eaten by lion. So these, they start with producers, they end with a territory consumer. They end with a territory consumer. So these interconnected food chains are linked together and they were termed to be as food web. They were termed to be as food web. This is all about food chain, energy flow and food web. And very interesting topic is given, animal colonies. Animal colonies. So here here in our textbook it is given about ants. Everybody of us very well known about ants. Ants means, yeah, chimal. So they were very well known. They always will be visible to our houses. In our houses we can see them. So these ants, what they will do, they will seriously walk in a street lane and they will go. So these having a particular colony, they were having a particular colony. Here it is given. Ants do a lot of things. Their colony has a large ant forces to do work. There are mainly workers, soldiers, female and male ants. The workers collect and maintain food stock for other colony and along with the several other duties. Just as we keep cows for milk and keep an insect called aphids for honeydew. Like us, ants are also good farmers as well. They cut leaves into pieces and create a bed to grow a type of fungus which they eat. So what they will do? So ants having, see, ants colony will have how many people they will have means workers, soldiers, female ants and male ants. Female and male ants. See, the workers collect main food. They collect food. Next, along with several other duties. The stock and the other colony with other along, they protect food. The soldiers protect food with along with other duties. Next, just as we keep cows, మనం ఎలా అయితే ఆవుల్ని పెంచుకుంటామో పాల కోసం, అలాగే ఈ యాంట్స్ కూడా ఏం చేస్తాయంటే ఎఫిడ్స్ అనే ఒక ఇన్సెక్ట్ని అవి చేసుకుంటాయి అన్నమాట. ఎఫిడ్స్ దే ప్రొడ్యూస్ హనీ డ్యూ. మనం పాలు ఎలా అయితే ఆవులను పెంచుకుని మనం వాటి నుంచి తీసుకుంటామో, సో దిస్ యాంట్ కాలనీస్ ఆల్సో విల్ హ్యావ్ ఎఫిడ్స్ ఇన్సెక్ట్స్. దే ప్రొడ్యూస్ హనీ dew. As we also grow, we also farm. మనం కూడా ఏం చేస్తాం, రాగి, జొన్నలు, బియ్యం ఇవన్నీ ఏం చేస్తాం, పండించుకుంటాం కదా. సో ఇన్ ద సేమ్ వే యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ అలాంగ్ విత్ ద కలెక్టింగ్ ఫుడ్, దే ఆల్వేస్ కలెక్ట్ ఫుడ్ అండ్ దే గ్యాదర్ అండ్ దే విల్ స్టాక్ ద ఫుడ్. మొత్తం అంతా ఫుడ్ అంతా స్టాక్ పెట్టుకుంటాయి. అదే కాకుండా దే విల్ ఆల్సో విల్ ఫార్మ్. వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తాయంట, వ్యవసాయం కూడా చేస్తాయంట. సో దే విల్ cut the leaves into several pieces and they will lay in a bed. సో ఒక బెడ్ లాంటి దాంట్లో, అంటే ఒక బెడ్ లాగా, బెడ్ ఇన్ ద సెన్స్ ఒక బెడ్ షేప్లో చిన్న చిన్న ఆకు ముక్కలన్నింటినీ కట్ చేసి పక్కన చిన్న పీసెస్ కింద చేసి అవి ఆ బెడ్లో వేస్తాయి. సో వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ టు దట్ ప్లేస్ మీన్స్ సమ్ డిఫరెంట్. ఈ ఆకులు అవన్నీ కొంచెం రాటెన్ అయిన తర్వాత there a fungi will be developed. That fungi is also food for ants. They know when to lay that crop, when to lay that bed, and when the fungus will be generated and when the food is produced to them. They were very having a forward look. They always keep food in a ready manner so that they will never be troubled. అవి ఎప్పుడు కూడా ట్రబుల్ ఫేస్ చేయకుండా వాటి ఫుడ్ అంతటిని కలెక్ట్ చేసుకుని ప్రతి సీజన్కి సరిపడా అవి ఫుడ్ని స్టాక్ చేసుకుంటాయి. సో ఇన్ ద సిమిలర్ వే వైల్ వీఆర్ లెర్నింగ్ అబౌట్ ants, we also have different colonies. So like honeybees and also different animal colonies will be there. In that colonies different workers will be there and they produce their separate world. They will have different types of foods, they will have different types of things to do, and this is all about animal colonies. So with this the lesson 3 is completed and I'll give you the answers for the bit part. Children, please go through. So for the evening section I will give the bit part. Till then you have to try it out. First you have to try all the bit part. By listening the lesson carefully you can easily get the bit part. If you are not getting, then you can fare it in the evening whenever I post it to you. So till the evening you should try and I'll give you 2 more questions, you should read also. Okay children, thank you.